What is going on, folks? This is episode 432 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller. Over here, we talk about Georgia Southern and Atlanta Falcons football. I will tell you one thing right now. I will not be talking about Atlanta Falcons football. Kind of disappointing how they lost that game, this past Sunday. Just very, very disappointing. But nevertheless, we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Georgia Southern Eagles beating Nebraska. We're going to talk about Marshall beating Notre Dame, number 8 Notre Dame. We're going to talk about Appalachian State beating number 6 Texas A&M. And we're also going to talk about Old Dominion. You know, they beat up on Virginia Tech last week. So we got to show them some love too, because the Sunbelt East is the best division in college football. It's not even close. We're going to talk about all of that. Give you some insight on what's going on here, the future of all of these programs, but I'm going to double back and finish with what I feel what the Georgia Southern Eagles are going to do for the rest of the season, because I'm really excited about how things have been going down. I really am. So if this is your first time here, welcome. This is the First and Frame Rate Show. Like I said, I am on, I talk about Georgia Southern, Atlanta Falcons football. I am on YouTube and Rumble. I'm also on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. So if you want to listen to the podcast without the visuals, it is on those avenues. I'm not even going to hold up anymore with that. I'm just going to get into this. Just look, the Sun Belt has been a conference, especially since 2014. You got some rough and tough and gritty teams in this conference. And I'm not just talking about just the East. I'm talking about in general. I mean, you talk about the Louisianas, you even go over there and talk about Texas State and all UNL, Monroe. You could talk about all those teams. Well, there's some gritty teams. Now, as far as the talent level, it hasn't been showing for all of the teams, but you have teams that can actually go toe-to-toe with a lot of Power 5 teams. You pretty much saw it throughout all this time, the past few years. Georgia Southern playing against Minnesota, Appalachian State going anywhere and everywhere and competing and almost beating everybody that's in their way, and sometimes actually beating them. You already know, like the newcomers to the conference, Marshall, Old Dominion, they've always been playing teams tough. So this is nothing new. Georgia State went to Tennessee and beat Tennessee. So this is the type of stuff I'm talking about. Like when you talk about the Sun Belt Conference in general, we got a lot of gritty teams. But now the Sun Belt East, what happened this weekend with, Marshall going into Notre Dame, beating them 26-21. You had Texas A&M getting demolished. I'm going to tell you right now, if you go back and look at that game, and I don't too much care to talk about Appalachian State like this, I'm going to give you some little quick insight before I talk about the rest of these games. Appalachian State and Georgia Southern is a hated rival. We never liked this team since the 80s. But that doesn't mean we don't respect each other. We have a lot of respect for this team and the 3 national championships that they got in Boone, North Carolina. Just the same way as many of their fans respect us as far as our 6 national championships we got, in the FCS. So there's a lot of mutual respect there. There's nothing that's like a real drawn out hate. We respect the teams. We respect the team. We just don't like we don't like losing to them. So when we see them beat a Texas A&M at 17-14, we tip our hats to them and say, good job, we'll see you at the end of the season. And vice versa. They see us beat Nebraska, good job, we'll see you at the end of the season. And this is what happened. If you look at that Texas A&M game, it was a dominant performance. These guys held the ball almost twice, if not more than twice as much as Texas A&M did. Texas A&M had no answer for anything that they could do. And I'm wondering why they were ranked number 6, but that's another story for another day. Dominant performance. Go back and look at that game. Very, very good game plan that they put together. That makes me think about what we're going to do to them, but we'll talk about that in November. We'll get to that. Georgia Southern, I just did a video on this on my YouTube channel. If you want to go back and look at it, non-episode, just a video where I was just so excited that we actually got the peripheral, the mental monkey off of our back and actually beat a Power 5 team since 2013. We got so close so many times, and we finally did it. And the way we did it It wasn't the best defensive. It wasn't the best defensive performance. We did have a couple of defensive times that we looked okay, but we had trouble with stopping them. Same vice versa with Nebraska. They couldn't stop us, and we was able to make sure they don't go downfield with time running out and they missed the field goal. But we ended up winning 45-42. Offensively, we looked great. It was probably some of the best string of offense that I've seen from Georgia Southern in a very long time. You're used to seeing this type of offense where we're just moving the ball at will from the triple option days, the Jason Foster days, the Greg Hill days, those type of, back then where we were just running through everybody, so it was refreshing to see the ball getting thrown through the air. And what can you say about Kyle Van Treese? What can you say about this kid? This kid is pretty much showing everybody why he ended up coming to Georgia Southern for his last hurrah and showing everybody what he can do. Some of the passes that he threw were just phenomenal. Outside of that one interception, which he rolled out to his right and he threw it up there, I really wish he could have threw that away. But hey, we live to fight another day, and he came back. And once again, outside of the interception when he got hit, he was lights out. Just a beautiful piece of work at quarterback for Kyle Van Treese. And then let's go ahead and finish off, and let's go back into, well, I ain't gonna say finish off. Let's talk about Notre Dame real quick. Notre Dame struggled against Marshall badly. Marshall came in with a game plan to say, look, we're going to punch you guys in the mouth, and we're going to dare you to hit us back. And they never was able to hit back. At the end of the game, Notre Dame started turning the ball over. Marshall was taking advantage of every opportunity. They went into South Bend, Indiana, and won that game. And this is a beautiful thing about it. Every game, and before I get to Old Dominion, every game, and I think Old Dominion was, I can't remember if they was home or not. I'm not sure. I think they were home. But nevertheless, every game on this weekend from Notre Dame, Texas A&M, and Nebraska, we went in their houses. We went in their houses and smacked them around. This is what I'm talking about. Now I know some people are going to be in the comment section of the YouTube channel or just come back and tell me on Twitter, oh, y'all didn't smack us around. Nebraska just ran out of time. Okay, but you know what I mean. An L is an L is an L. And we put the L in Lincoln. Oh goodness. So, Southern Exchange, excellent t-shirt. I can't wait for it to come. I bought it and wait for it in the mail. We put the L in Lincoln. Nevertheless, every one of these teams got manhandled some form of fashion. Defensively, Nebraska had no answer for what Kyle Van Treese and the Georgia Southern offense was doing. Texas A&M had no answer for whatever Appalachian State threw at them. And Marshall was like, you know what? We're not afraid of you, and we're going to go toe-to-toe with you and see if you can get us back. And what they did, they went toe-to-toe and beat them up a little bit, and Notre Dame had no answer. Now, let's go to Old Dominion. Old Dominion ended up beating Virginia Tech, which Virginia Tech is a little bit on the decline, almost similar to Nebraska. But make no mistake, Old Dominion had no business. Old Dominion had no business beating. They had no business beating Virginia Tech. Not at all. They had no business beating Virginia. They had no business beating Virginia Tech at all. You got to understand that. And what happened was they ended up beating them. I mean, just look at it. They just ended up losing to East Carolina, which I think East Carolina that's another team. My goodness. That's a team we need to watch going down the road. East Carolina is looking really good. But nevertheless, Virginia Tech comes to Old Dominion and loses 20-17. So that just goes back to tell you, the Sunbelt East is nothing nice. Honorable mention, James Madison. You see what they're doing around here? Do you want to talk about the Norfolk State game? I'm just saying, you want to go and talk about them? And then what they did to Middle Tennessee as well? Shout out to Conference USA. Conference USA, my God. 44-7, they beat Middle Tennessee on September 3rd. And what they did to Norfolk State, 63-7. And these guys just walked away from the FCS and came right into the Sun Belt and looked like they didn't miss a step. I think one of the biggest games that they're going to have when they play App State at September 24th in Boone, North Carolina, that's going to be a good one. That's going to be a damn good one. And when they got to come to Georgia Southern. They got to come to Paulson on October 15th. Those two games are really going to tell the tale of what James Madison is all about, to be, in my opinion. But that's more of the Sunbelt East. It's more of the Sunbelt East. This conference is great. This division is the best division in college football. Look, before I jump back into Georgia, I want to talk about this real quick. You look at the SEC. Seriously, look at the SEC. I think it's East or West. You got Alabama in the West, and who else? Maybe LSU. LSU just lost to Florida State. You look at the East. You got Georgia, maybe Florida, maybe South Carolina just lost to Arkansas. Oh, you may have Arkansas in the West. This division in the Sun Belt is damn near top to bottom. Top to bottom scrap. Now, I know some people are going to say, oh, the talent level, they can't touch the SEC. No, absolutely. I won't say that we can't touch the SEC. But on the East, outside of Georgia, I don't think nobody in the East want to touch any of these teams that is on the screen right now. Yeah, South Carolina did beat Georgia State, but they're on a down year. I'm kind of happy about that because that's our in-state rival. But South Carolina don't want to touch any of these teams that I got on the screen here. Georgia Southern, Old Dominion, Marshall, Appalachian State. Nah, they don't want to touch them. Florida's not going to touch them. No. Kentucky, no. I don't even want to talk about the ACC. I don't even want to talk about the ACC. Yeah. North Carolina did beat Appalachian State, but I'm pretty sure they don't want to touch them again next year. I think they go into Chapel Hill next year. Appalachian State. Appalachian State's going to be ready. Don't get it twisted. They're not looking forward to that game. I can promise you that. Who else in the AC? Florida State, maybe, because they're on the up and come up. They may want to touch any of these teams. Clemson is like the only one. And who's on the other side of the ACC? Louisville? Stop. Shout out to Satterfield, former Appalachian State coach, but stop. No. Big Ten? We just beat Nebraska. Ohio State, maybe. Ohio State, like the only team that them in Michigan. Michigan State, maybe. They don't have this division that's top to bottom with talent that's grit and want to, come for your neck every time. Pac-12, I'm not even going to talk about the Pac-12 right now. No, I ain't going to talk about the Pac-12. Big 12, I don't even want to talk about the Big 12 right now. I can't. To be honest, shout out to my homeboy Mike Stanley on Twitter. Like, me and him became really close friends. He's a K-State alum and fan. I can't wait to 2027 when we go to K-State. I might have to go to Manhattan, Kansas for that game. I might have to take a trip to Manhattan, Kansas to go there because I stayed in Kansas for a while. I got some friends there in Topeka, Kansas. I don't know if they're still. I know a few of them are still there. I still talk to them every now and then. But I would love to go back, and touch bases with some people and go to the game. But you look at the rest of the Big 12. No, stop. They don't want nothing. They don't want after what happened this weekend. They don't want anything to do with any of these teams. So you got a few teams in a few of these conferences. That actually will probably run over these teams. Georgia, Ohio State, Clemson. That doesn't make up the entire conference. That doesn't make up the entire division. Alabama, obviously. That doesn't make up the entire division, top to bottom. The Sunbelt Conference is nice. The East Division is nothing nice. Them boys will take it to you. From Georgia Southern, the Appalachian State, the Old Dominion, Marshall, James Madison. I mean, Georgia State was not too far off. They just beat Tennessee not too long ago. And this right, as long as we keep doing this, we're just going to get better. Just gonna get better. We bring more recruits, a bunch of 3-star recruits that want to learn, want to be great, and want to do things. It's just gonna get better. I can't wait to see how this continue to progress. Can't wait to see. Now, before I leave, I'm gonna talk about Georgia Southern. Before I get out of here, we got UAB next. I'm going to start studying on UAB, going to kind of see what they're about, see what they can do. Honestly, I said this was the game that we probably going to end up losing. But with the confidence that I have now, and I'm pretty sure with the confidence this team got, we may go to Birmingham and shock the world again. I don't know how big of a shock it is, but we can do something, and people will start taking us serious at that point. Because Georgia Southern has been on the decline for a while. We had a good bit of problems the last 2 or 3 years, but Coach Clay Helton is bringing us back up, and it's looking pretty good right now. Because if we get past UAB, we're probably starting to talk about double-digit wins this year. James Madison, Appalachian State, even with Marshall, hell, we play Old Dominion this year. It might be a little tough, but the way this team is playing, if we can get our defense to tackle and we can cover a little bit better, we could put a lot of teams on notice. But I think with this UAB game, we're going there with the same game plan we did offensively because I don't think they can stop it. I personally don't think they can stop it. And if we do our thing on defense and get some legitimate stops and not let these teams run all over us, we can walk away with the victory. But we're going to talk about that sometime down the road. We're not going to jump on that just yet. I'm going to look at some UAB film. I'm going to look and see what they can do, look at some tendencies, and we're going to go from there. But this is a beautiful thing, everybody. This is phenomenal. I love what I see here. I cannot wait to see where this continue to go. Not just for Georgia Southern, but this entire division. Yeah, I said division. I know Louisiana's over there in the West by itself right now. I don't know if anybody's going to threaten them just yet. But right now, it's all about this East Conference. This East Conference looks brutal. This Eastern Conference, this East Division looks brutal. It really does. If you like this commentary, hit the like button, share this podcast, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. What do you got to say? What a weekend for the Sunbelt East. What a weekend. It was just a beautiful thing to see, man. Watching Marshall go up there to Notre Dame, watching Appalachian State go down to Texas A&M, smack Jimbo Fisher and them around, and we watched Georgia Southern smack up on the Nebraska Cornhuskers, and Scott Frost end up losing his job. Man, that is wild, right? Right. All right, y'all. We're going to be back on Tuesday. I don't know if I'm going to be talking about any Falcon stuff, man. I don't know. Maybe it depends on what happens. I'm definitely going to be hanging on the Georgia Southern stuff, look at some UAB, and look at some more Georgia Southern stuff and see what I could take from each side and give you my thoughts and opinions. All right, y'all. I'm out of here. Hopefully you guys check me out throughout the week. Thank you guys for making it this far. All right, y'all. I'll see you guys on the next one. You guys enjoy your Monday. Y'all be blessed. Peace.